Have you ever wondered if the innocent-sounding rhymes we've all grown up with might hide a deeper, darker meaning? One for Sorrow is one such rhyme, where a simple counting of magpies might conceal ancient superstitions, folklore, and even witchcraft. Join me as we unravel the eerie origins and unsettling theories behind this strange rhyme. Welcome back, Darklings. Before we explore its dark past, let's first revisit the most common version of this rhyme. 1 for sorrow, 2 for joy, 3 for a girl, 4 for a boy, 5 for silver, 6 for gold, 7 for a secret, never to be told. Although traditionally used to count magpies spotted in nature, the rhyme is sometimes applied to other birds, such as crows, in regions where magpies are less common. At first glance, this might just seem like a quaint way to count magpies. But did you know this rhyme might actually be rooted in ancient beliefs about omens and superstitions, the origins of which might just surprise you? 1 for Sorrow was first recorded in Samuel Johnson and George Stevens's supplement to their 1778 edition of The Plays of William Shakespeare. This early version is much shorter and reads, 1 for sorrow, 2 for mirth, 3 for a wedding, 4 for death. The rhyme is thought to have originated from the ancient practice of interpreting bird behaviour as a form of divination. This fascination with birds is evident across various cultures. In ancient Rome, augurs interpreted the will of the gods by observing the flight patterns of birds. In medieval Europe, the crow and raven were often considered omens of death, believed to be messengers between the living and the dead. Fortune-telling and the reading of omens became especially widespread between the 5th and 15th centuries, a period when superstition was deeply embedded in everyday life. In a world marked by uncertainty, frequent plagues, famines and wars, people sought to predict the future through various methods, such as reading omens, interpreting dreams, and consulting astrologers. Numbers played a significant role in these practices, with certain numbers believed to hold particular power or significance. For instance, an 11th century manuscript notes that a dream occurring on the first night of the new moon foretells joy, while a dream on the 11th night is considered harmless, and whatever is dreamed on the 7th night will come to pass after a period of time. Other everyday occurrences, like sneezing, were also counted and interpreted. If a man sneezed twice, it was seen as a sign of good luck or success in business, but sneezing once or 3 times was considered an ill omen. Interestingly, a rhyme somewhat similar to 1 for sorrow, but about sneezes, was collected and published in the 18th century. Once a wish, twice a kiss, 3's a letter, 4's something better. There are other rhymes believed to have also originated from this period's superstitions, such as the daisy petal plucking rhyme, he loves me not. You might find it surprising that such superstitions thrived in a God-fearing society. However, the medieval church largely dismissed omens and fortune-telling as harmless. As early as the 5th century, St. Augustine had argued that any perceived connection between an omen and a resulting event was mere coincidence. His skepticism was echoed in many other medieval texts, suggesting that while the church regarded these beliefs as foolish, it did not consider them dangerous at that time. 1 for sorrow, like many folk traditions, was likely passed down orally for generations before being written down. In rural communities with low literacy rates, oral tradition played a key role in preserving cultural beliefs. The rhyme's absence in print until the 18th century follows a common pattern for nursery rhymes and folk songs, as earlier literature prioritised more formal religious texts and the lives of the elite. Folk rhymes and traditions were often dismissed as trivial and unimportant by scholars and publishers. It wasn't until the 18th and 19th centuries, with the rise of antiquarian interest and the Romantic movement's celebration of folk culture, that these traditions were finally collected and published. But the rhyme's journey doesn't end with medieval superstitions. As history moved into darker times, the rhyme's interpretation took on a more sinister tone. In the 16th and 17th centuries, during the height of the witch hunts in Europe, magpies were believed to be witches in disguise or their familiars. The magpie's ability to mimic human speech and its natural chattering, which can sound like laughter, likely contributed to these fears. Additionally, magpies are highly intelligent birds, and their cunning behaviour could have led to them being viewed with suspicion. Their plumage also likely played a role in these beliefs. In Christian symbolism, white is often associated with purity and holiness, while black represents evil and the devil. Thus, the magpie's distinctive black and white colouring could be seen as a physical representation of evil corrupting good. An early 16th century text even states that when magpies chatter upon a house, it is a sure sign of evil tidings happening within. These beliefs might have roots in Christian folklore. Magpies were viewed as symbols of vanity and dissipation, cursed among the crow family for not wearing completely black plumage in mourning after the crucifixion. It was also said that the magpie was the only bird not to enter Noah's Ark. Instead, it sat on top, laughing while the world was drowned. Similarly, in Scottish folklore, magpies were considered so evil that each bird was believed to carry a drop of the devil's blood under its tongue. The evolving cultural climate increasingly linked folk beliefs with heresy and witchcraft. As the church and authorities cracked down on any unorthodox practices, traditions like counting omens or signs to predict the future came under suspicion. What was once seen as harmless folklore could now be viewed as evidence of witchcraft. During the height of the witch hunts, anyone practicing folk divination or associated with these traditional beliefs risked being accused of witchcraft and faced severe consequences. This period of intense fear and suspicion caused many folk traditions to be altered or suppressed. The rhyme may have survived by evolving to reflect these new fears, blending old superstitions with newer, more sinister interpretations. These sinister beliefs are reflected in longer versions of the rhyme, which began to appear in print in the 1800s, claiming to be gathered from oral tradition. These versions included lines that invoked fear of evil, such as a variant that extends the rhyme with the lines 8 for heaven, 9 for hell, and 10 for the devil's own self. Another version recorded by James Orchard Halliwell includes 1 for anger, 2 for mirth, 3 for a wedding, 4 for a birth, 5 for rich, 6 for poor, 7 for a witch, I can tell you no more. These darker additions to the rhyme suggest a Christianization of the original folk beliefs and evoke the intense fear of witches and the supernatural that gripped society during that era. This may explain why, in English tradition, it's customary to greet a single magpie with a salutation to ward off the bad luck it is believed to bring, a kind of countercurse to its association with witchcraft or evil. A well-known greeting still used today is, "Good morning, Mr. Magpie. How are Mrs. Magpie and all the other little magpies?" This implies the presence of more magpies, thereby neutralising the misfortune linked to seeing just one. In Wales, upon seeing a single magpie, it was customary to recite, "Devil, devil, I defy thee, magpie, magpie, I go by thee," often accompanied by spitting on the ground. Another tradition recorded in southern England involved making the sign of the cross while saying, "I cross the magpie crosses me, bad luck to the magpie, and good luck to me." These sayings may have originated as a kind of magic spell or counter-curse to the magpie during times when the fear of witches was rampant. The ritualistic gestures, spitting on the ground or making the sign of the cross, paired with the spoken words, create a sense of protection or defiance intended to ward off evil. This evolution over time, influenced by folk traditions, Christian beliefs, and the fear of witches, has likely left us with the rhyme we know today, charming, yet still deeply rooted in superstition and fear. Based on the evidence we've explored, these seem like the most plausible origins of the magpie rhyme, but we may never know for certain. But what do you think? Do you agree with these theories? Or do you have your own ideas about where this rhyme came from? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and if your thirst for nursery rhyme origins still lingers, be sure to subscribe and explore the rest of my channel. See you in a future video.